missed something.
What?
There was some incident in Manhattan, and a lot of it is pretty consistent with our kind of weirdness.
What do you mean?
A freak concentrated hurricane, the Williamsburg Bridge cracked and broke, the Empire State Building was a disaster.
Get the others, let's go.
Oh no, it's over.
We missed it.
That's what I was implying. It was almost a year ago, Carter.
The incident just resolved itself.
I guess someone or something fixed it, but it wasn't the magicians.
Interesting. Why are you bringing this up now?
I was just curious about Manhattan. Amos says some cryptic stuff about it, so I was just doing some research.
He said they have their own problems. Maybe they have their own solutions as well.
Should we still go check it out?
I don't think we're even supposed to be over there. And besides, we just finished saving the world from a chaos snake, so I would like to finish cleaning up one mess before I get involved in another.
The more you tell me not to investigate, the more curious I get. I mean, this is some weird stuff.
You just said this was months ago.
That's just what caught my attention, but look at this picture of this rogue crocodile in Long Island.
That thing is huge!
See? Clearly stuff is still happening, so we should go check it out.
Sadie, guess who's alive?
Hey!
Glad you survived your trip. Well,
I'm not talking about me.
who are we referring to then? The Ghost King himself.
The what now? Angelo? Anubis never mentioned him? Of course you didn't. You thief. Expand and explain, please. Anubis met this dude messing around in the Duat looking for someone. Turns out he's related to, like, the Hades.
What?
And Anubis thought he had kind of like a cool underworld aesthetic and they're loosely related, so he just stole his look for his human form. You know, so he wouldn't scare you guys with a jackal face. I have several questions. Anyway, that was a while back. Haven't heard tell of this guy since. Thought he was dead. But turns out the whole Albania issue, that was him and some girl and a goat man. Is Anubis being on Earth causing other death-related deities to be active, like the Hades, Pluto, whoever this Ghost King kid is? Is that what happened in Manhattan? I'm pretty sure the Ghost King thing is just a nickname, although he might be a prince because his dad is king of the underworld. I don't know. I'm pretty sure he's just an extra creepy but stylish demigod. Hades has living children, like biologically. Well, a lot of monsters are descended from gods, but demigods are a little different. I think he's the only living one.
What did he do in Albania?
Well, he shadow traveled there with this huge, valuable magic item, and that's some pretty heavy-duty death magic. Bunch of monsters mistook him for Anubis, and without context, I can't imagine what that poor guy thought was happening.
So technically, it was your fault then for stealing his identity.
Identity theft is not a joke, Anubis. Anyway, just had to go sort out some confusion, we're all good now.
What did you do?
What happens in Albania, stays in Albania.
Okay, well, where did they go?
I don't know where he was headed, I didn't see him, I just cleaned up the mess they left.
Walt! That is important information!
I don't have a problem with him, I'm pretty sure his associates are the ones that close the doors of death so that we can actually kill monsters.
The what?
When's the last time you were on the internet?
It's been a couple years.
I think your dad is a person of interest in a missing person case.
Excuse me?
Just listen. 14-year-old cold case. Solved, then immediately unsolved.
Oh no.
14 years ago, the 2-year-old son of 80s TV star Beryl Grace, Jason Grace, was reported missing by his older sister. Thalia Grace informed the police that the 2-year-old Jason was missing at the hands of their mother. When questioned, the fallen-off movie star stated that the boy had been taken from her but refused to disclose by who. When pressed as to why she did not report him missing, she was uncooperative and babbling nonsense. A manhunt was initiated due to suspicion that the child was in danger and had not been simply surrendered. Unfortunately, not a single lead was generated from this search, and the case would have no revelations until 14 years later. Here's where we come in.
Oh no.
Jason Grace, now age 16, was admitted to a boarding school in California. No ID, no transcript, no record of his whereabouts for the last 14 years, and at the endorsement of Tristan McLean, another recently fallen-off movie star.
No! Where is this?
Law enforcement barely had time to investigate before the boy went missing again. He disappeared from his dorm room, leaving with unidentified teenagers still in his school uniform, and has not reappeared. Months later, law enforcement is still baffled with few leads. When questioned, the school board had a vague explanation as to how the boy was admitted in the first place, with no record of previous education. You're in this too, by the way.
Oh, what?
The director simply stated that Tristan McLean's daughter, Piper McLean, was incredibly persuasive in convincing them to accept Jason as a student.
Oh.
Did you charm speak Jason's way into school?
Maybe a little. It is unsure what he meant by that, but he declined to comment further. Public confusion and the odd details of this case have led to many conspiracy theories, very few actually grounded in any evidence. Some speculate that the child has been in hiding to escape his mother and only reappeared after she passed in a car crash a few years ago. This offers no explanation for the recent disappearance, however. Some speculate that the disappearance may have something to do with the unknown biological father of the teen, and some have even suggested that it may be Tristan McLean himself. No! Oh my god, for what other reasons would he be attempting to place an ID-less teen in school? This claim has slightly strengthened when a video resurfaced from an unexplained incident at the Grand Canyon about a year ago involving a class from a correctional school. Does the mist not affect security cameras? The students in the video were identified as Piper McLean, Leo Valdez, and who we know now to be Jason Grace, along with 2 other unidentified individuals, proving another link between the Graces and McLeans. Are we gonna get arrested again? Oh god. Other theorists have pointed to the dismal grades and odd behavior shown by Jason Grace as being evidence of someone divorced from society, and have pointed to the apparent tattoo and scars on his body as evidence of potential cult activity. The tattoo specifically is of interest as it has been spotted before in varying styles on other teenagers on the West Coast, many during other odd or unexplained events. Oh my god! While this is very out there, it should be noted that Jason's older sister, Thalia, is also currently listed as a missing person after reportedly running away shortly after Jason's disappearance. However, she has been spotted in multiple locations across the country. Unfortunately, the validity of more recent tips is questionable, as the estimated age is much younger than Thalia would currently be. They're on to us. Other theories have ranged from stolen identities, celebrity hush money, faked deaths, dissociative fugue, and even speculated links with other teens that have gone missing multiple times only to reappear in plain sight. So just every demigod. Basically, the current whereabouts of the names listed here are unknown. When investigators arrived at the McLean mansion on Tuesday, they found it abandoned and empty, and other attempts at contacting people of interest have been so far unsuccessful. Perhaps the King of Sparta has more to answer for than bad sequels. Okay, a pun that's a little inappropriate. They're gonna frame my dad for murder! They don't know he's dead, he's just missing. Law enforcement is continuing to pursue the case, but with no particular optimism considering the severe lack of direction and confusing narrative. Any information can be reported to yada yada. I need to call my father. Yeah, baby. Remember how you told me not to Google your name? Did you Google my name? I Googled your name. Well, that's dangerous, so how did you do that? Well, we know that Demigod Safe Internet exists because Daedalus's laptop was a thing. Rest in peace. Annabeth was very upset. Yes, well, I reverse engineered it. Ooh. And using modern VPN technology, I think I've created something safe. You think? Yes, I've been testing it out by just sitting in public spaces and scrolling current memes. That's just click for instant death made entirely too real. Old meme, Percy. I am an old meme. Is that why you dress like a 2000s skater boy? You have a mullet. Hey, it's back in style now. And for your information, it's supposedly called a wolf cut now. In loving memory of our wolf boy. Anyway, I say I think because I'm nobody. I am just a simple teen at the Starbs. Piper, however, has volunteered to do the real test. And that is... I'm gonna make a TikTok account. Which is an app. Correct? Very good. Piper is the elusive and rebellious daughter of a very famous celebrity who is currently under investigation in a missing person case. Excuse me? If she shows up on TikTok, people are gonna notice. I'm gonna become an influencer. Maybe even literally. Do you get it? 'Cause charms speak. If she gets targeted immediately, then we go back to the drawing board. So you're a live test subject. A social experiment, if you will. Okay. What does it have to do with me? You're trending on Twitter. Why? So many reasons. Most recently having to do with a swim meet. I was shooting for second place. Just listen to this headline. Teen assumed to be dead for the second time, shows up to swim meet, and makes Olympic level time. I got nervous. The news was there, and I way overshot my normal time. I bet your coach was thrilled, though. Oh, he was ecstatic. I didn't realize it was gonna put my name back on the news, though. Some of these headlines, dude, you have an entire YouTube series about you. How many views does it have? So many. That explains a couple things. I had some video quoted to me at school. They asked if I was in a cult for some reason. Did they think you were just gonna say yes? Listen, Percy Jackson first appeared in the news at age 12 when he and his mother, Sally Jackson, went missing after a car accident. His stepfather, Gabe Ugliano, testified to the news that Percy was a dangerous delinquent that had killed his wife. He corroborated this with Percy's long rap sheet, having attended and subsequently been expelled from 6 schools in the previous 6 years. Is that true? It's more like 7, 8 now. A man after my own heart. I thought you liked your stepdad. He sounds awful. Oh, this was the other one. Paul's great. Okay, good. It was revealed later that the two had been kidnapped and separated, both escaped their captor, Sally Jackson returning to her home and Percy being spotted with an unidentified girl who we now know to be Annabeth Chase, and another student named Grover Underwood before returning home as well. The news actually managed to speak with Percy during the incident, where he quickly won over the reporter and promised free appliances from his stepfather's company, although what actually took place was never fully explained. I forgot I did that. Investigators were left to speculate about the incident, most prevalent accusation being that the whole thing was a life insurance scam. Gabe Ugliano redeemed the life insurance policy on Sally Jackson before she was confirmed dead. A few weeks after Sally and Percy returned, Gabe himself disappeared and is missing to this day. It is theorized that Ugliano absconded with the money and potentially orchestrated the whole incident as the crash took place in his car. He was also a consistent poker player in a considerable amount of debt. It is unknown if Sally was in on this plot or not. However, the mother and son quickly moved to nicer accommodations and better schools. It's explained that this money came from the sale of a piece of artwork created by Sally, but she has not followed this with any other notable works, and many say that this is a weak cover story. Okay, solid theory, except Gabe is dead. Really? Oh yeah. Can I ask what happened? So the art piece that my mom sold was a hyper-realistic stone statue called The Poker Player. Okay. And part of my first quest was to chop off the head of Medusa, which still works after you cut it off. So murder. I didn't do it. I just supplied the resources. Plus he was like an actual monster. Got it. So what else does it say? Yeah, let's just gloss over that murder confession. Many aspects of this incident are still unexplained, including a wild claim that Percy leapt from the top of the Gateway Arch in Chicago and somehow survived. Multiple eyewitnesses attest to seeing a teen leap from the arch enough to warrant investigation. Security cameras witnessed an altercation between a teen identified as Jackson and an adult with a poodle. The camera failed to capture the rest of the incident and the claims were discarded as impossible. That happened. How? Dude, I honestly don't know. I do have a little bit of a theory, though. Explain? I think someone intervened. Poseidon? I don't think so. We hadn't even met yet. So? I kind of tested this theory with 2 vials of poison. Oh my god, Hazel told me about this. Wait, what? The idea was that I was too valuable to the prophecy for Gaia to just let me die prematurely, so I challenged her with a 50-50 chance of me drinking poison, and I was right. She told me she had great plans for me. And you think that extended all the way back to when you were 12? Maybe? She started messing with me when I was an infant, so you might be correct. It's weird. I wonder about Jason as well. Like, how did he spend that much time with the wolves as a little child and not die, like, even accidentally? Huh. Paul bought a bunch of parenting books because he's never had an infant before, and toddlers are not to be trusted with anything. They can't even have grapes unsupervised. What do you think he ate as a child? Like, certainly not what the wolves ate, right? Oh. You've upset the vegetarian. Okay, I can buy into some intervention. I don't want to think about that anymore. That's why I'm retired. I've used up all of my immunity, like literally it washed off in the river over there. That is a scary thought. Hey. YOLO. No, Percy. Oh my god, no more dead memes. Leo, keep going. Okay. Other claimed sightings of Jackson include on a bus where an altercation with 3 unknown elderly women took place. Theories. Percy was reportedly threatening them with a baseball bat,
Riptide. Other passengers were unable to confirm if the women were traveling with Jackson originally or where the baseball bat came from, as he seemingly did not board with it. It is speculated that these women could be Jackson's captors or in cahoots with Jackson's captor, as an unknown man is still the number one suspect. Aries. Other passengers have said that the women may have recognized Jackson from the news and the teen simply panicked during an escape attempt. These claims have not been corroborated with any physical evidence, and Jackson was not present when law enforcement arrived on the scene, making eyewitness testimony our only evidence that Jackson was even there. Much more concerning, however, are claims that the teen was involved in a gunfight on a beach with the unidentified man thought to be his captor. Also, Riptide. Why such a violent cover-up? Is a gun not more dangerous than a sword? Once again, it's unknown where the teen sourced a gun, most likely explanation being that it was stolen from his captor, who was holding a similar one. No wounds were reported, and both escaped the scene before the law enforcement could get a hold of either. Jackson was recovered soon after, returning home of his own volition, either by successfully escaping or some have speculated he was released, citing the whole incident as a scam, positing how a 12-year-old boy could have escaped from such a heavily armed individual and claiming the outlandish details of this case to be intentionally misleading or intended to make the boy seem to be in extreme peril to sell the story, despite Jackson returning unharmed and never taking legal action against his or his mother's captor. Unharmed is a strong word. The boy has been shielded from questioning by higher authority, and Sally Jackson has declined any attempts to get her to explain these events. With no positive ID on the unknown man on the beach, the 3 elderly women, or the individual in the arch, the case has hit a dead end and has remained dropped as none of the known parties involved have sought legal action. Wow. Yeah, and that was just my first quest. I got a little better at avoiding the police after that. Is there more? Oh, we're not even close to the swim meet part yet. This is just a sea of related articles. You could have a whole book written about this. Oh my god. Alright, let's keep going. Should I make popcorn? Should we call Hazel? Frank? I'm sure he would find this entertaining / concerning. I mean, you guys road tripped all the way to New Rome just for this, so let's make it worth it. That's for research purposes. Oh, by the way, congrats on getting your driver's license. Thank you. The excessive paperwork was harder than the actual test. Have you ever had to prove yourself unmissing? Yeah. Just keep reading. Oh, right. Also, I'm technically back in the foster care system, a side effect of being unmissing, but there's no way that I'm leaving the way station. From what I've heard, I don't think Emmy and Joe would let you. Who are they? Ex-hunters of Artemis. Super cool older lesbians. They run the way station. Current foster mothers of one Leo Valdez. Awesome. Wait, you can leave the Hunters of Artemis? It's not easy or recommended, but they're just that cool. Huh. There's a lot more to that story, but that's not what today is for. Speaking of research, shouldn't we include Annabeth? The article mentioned her name earlier. She's in class right now, but the other 2 should be here in a little bit. Should you be in class? I'm not wearing a watch. No, I'm not supposed to be in class. Go on. Okay. The case may have been left to grow cold had Percy Jackson not made headlines again a year later after being involved in a massive explosion at Merriweather College Prep. Students were reportedly playing dodgeball in the gymnasium, and according to Eyewitness, the game had escalated to a violent level. Merriweather College Prep is a, quote, progressive school that does not give grades and promotes a less structured and free will curriculum. Our gym uniforms were tie-dye. Some have criticized the lack of discipline for the students and have pointed to this particular incident, saying that the coach should have intervened before the game escalated to this point. It was initially thought that Jackson was the one who set off the explosion due to the point of origin and eyewitness testimony. Security cameras show Jackson and another unnamed student exiting the locker room a few minutes after the other students. This was seen as suspicious, and it was insinuated that this time frame could have been used to hide something on his person or conspire with the other student. The coach, however, stated that this was a normal occurrence, and the 2 consistently arrived at PE late. Mood. The boy has been shielded from questioning by higher authority, and Sally Jackson. This suspicion was also disproved as there was no explosive devices found, and both students seemingly had nothing on their persons, being in full view of the security cameras up until the moment of the explosion. The explosion was eventually blamed on a gas leak, a stray lighter from the pocket of an unnamed 7th grader, and an aggressively thrown dodgeball. Truly a freak accident, but some have continued to insist that Jackson was involved somehow, citing the low possibility of these things actually being to blame for such an explosion, and seeing as he and the other student fled the scene immediately and did not return to the school, some calling this suspicious behavior, or an attempt to lay low. Percy Jackson's name, being well known, seems to have clouded public opinion, and many seem to forget the unidentified student with Jackson, who not only left the school but has not been spotted since. Even more concerning, the school seems to have lost any records regarding the student, and the security cameras were never able to capture a clear image of his face to make any notable search for the student. Who was that? Tyson. He went to school with you? That's how we met. We were classmates. I didn't even realize he was a Cyclops till Annabeth pointed it out. Now, how did that escape your keen attention to detail? I don't need the sarcasm, Piper. It was the mist's fault, okay? I was still falling for it, apparently, and he was very tall. And I was not. And I had really bad posture. And I was always kind of seeing him out of my peripheral vision. How tall? You've seen him. No, you. I was in 8th grade. Answer the question. Annabeth was taller than me. Proximity to Jackson seems to have made a clever scapegoat, as any suspicion of conspiracy immediately fell to Percy Jackson due to his history. However, evidently, he is no more suspicious than Jackson is, as none of these claims could be corroborated with any physical evidence, as all security cameras were obscured by smoke, and boiled down to the two simply being in close proximity to the explosion. Jackson was once again barred from questioning, and the event remained simply a freak accident. Wow. Yeah, I really didn't even do anything. It was all self-defense. A bunch of the 7th graders were Lastragonian giants in disguise with flaming dodgeballs. Hey guys, what's up? Talking about flaming dodgeball. Whoa, goodbye. Frank, come back. We're not talking about playing it, just an anecdote. Sounds like something you would do, Leo. I am wounded! But you're totally right. That would be a terrifying weapon for fire reasons and for bad school memory reasons. Write that down. Frank, did you know you're a part of a missing persons case along with several conspiracy theories? Excuse me? Welcome to the club! Is that why I have like 1,000 notifications? From what? My phone? I charged it for the first time in like 2 years because Percy told me you were working on some tech thing and I got curious. Have you been answering people? No, I just glanced over a couple of them and then got immediately overwhelmed because I haven't talked to my friends in like 2 years and I just dropped off the face of the earth. Oh, no. Yeah, the first one was like, miss you, man. Hope you're okay wherever you are. I'm having some emotions about that. That sucks. Do you have a lot of friends back home? Would you believe it? Yeah, I had several pretty close ones. Would you like an entertaining distraction? Is it about how I'm missing? No, but we'll get to that. Currently, it's about Percy's long police record. Oh, lovely. Yeah, let's hear more about that. Okay. During the resulting search for the two students after the initial explosion? I'll work on your phone. You can Google it later. Jackson was allegedly spotted with the unnamed student and Annabeth Chase, see related articles, on a cruise ship called the Princess Andromeda, and then again at an infamous donut chain called Monster Donut. Oh, not Monster Donut. How do you... Oh, the aquarium. Yes, Percy, let's talk about how I panicked and went goldfish mode. I've been waiting for that one to come back up. They sponsor a portion of the Georgia Aquarium. Hey, at least you weren't a guinea pig. That happened to me a couple days after these alleged sightings. Explain? Sorry, not in the police report. That's classified. What about the cruise ship? You just take a luxury break in the middle of a quest? Actually, it was owned by Luke Castellan and infested with mist-covered monsters. Oh! Also, recently found out that he bought it from Triumvirate Holdings. Rocked my world a little bit. Nero owned them? Yup. And how did he afford that? Wasn't he, like, young? Pretty sure he was, like, 19 at the time, and also pretty sure that he sold his soul to Kronos, so... Discount for those with common world-controlling goals. Yeah, they really wanted him to succeed. Gross! Also, why do mortals label Monster Donut as infamous? Listen, Monster Donut is widely believed to be a front for money laundering, as there are no sales records, identifiable staff, or health code certifications filed for the business, despite new locations popping up around the country seemingly overnight. Videos of various locations have shown individuals entering and exiting with boxes labeled as donuts, but no one identifiable has ever been able to enter and actually purchase donuts from the chain. Because you have to be a monster to purchase the Monster Donuts. The chain holds various sponsorships across the country, which conspiracy theorists have also pointed to as being suspicious, as the locations have no connection to or shared intentions as the chain. Most online believe it to be a money laundering scheme. The Princess Andromeda has a concerning history as well, as it is considered a haunted cruise ship. In the last few years it sailed, guests consistently reported strange events on board and encounters with suspicious individuals. Some even claim the ship causes memory loss, as some guests reported having difficulty recalling their vacation at all, saying it was, quote, hard to focus on anything around them and would, quote,
forget the face of people they had just been talking to. These claims are not substantiated with any evidence and have been mostly chalked up to guests being inebriated and disoriented aboard the ship. However, a few years later, the ship did eventually suffer a dramatic engine failure that resulted in a massive explosion that destroyed and sank the cruise ship. Conspiracy theorists have further pushed the idea that something supernatural happened aboard the ship, as only a single body was recovered from the wreckage, 18-year-old Charles Beckendorf. See related articles. Oh my god. That explosion was Greek fire placed by Beckendorf. There were no mortals aboard, and he successfully destroyed Kronos' ship and basically saved my life. Absolute hero. He was the head of the Hephaestus cabin before me. Oh, wow. Yeah, he's kind of a legend. The sightings of Jackson at these infamous locations do have some credibility, but some think Percy's reputation has led to an odd version of Where's Waldo. People claiming to spot him in all sorts of suspicious locations, but having flimsy or no proof. For example, the security footage of Jackson at Monster Donut being from an unofficial internet sleuth looking into the Monster Donut, and the sightings of Jackson on the Andromeda being cited by those again, quote, forgetting the face of people they had just been talking to. The claims gained a sort of meme status before dying down in the months following the Meriwether College prep incident, which again was officially settled as a freak accident. You're a meme, Percy? Ah! Where did you come from? New Orleans originally. Oh my god. I learned how to shadow travel. Wait, really? No. You guys were just really enthralled in the story and I snuck up on you. Piper 100% saw me though. I did. How long have you been standing there? Enough time to be invested. Keep going. 6 months later, Percy Jackson was cited as a person of interest in 4 missing persons cases. 4? Oh my god! At Westover Hall in Bar Harbor, Maine, 2 students and the military academy's vice principal, Dr. Thorne, went missing during a school event. Admin seemingly did not notice the 2 students' absence until the next morning, and authorities were promptly alerted. Security camera footage was reviewed, and the 2 students, siblings, named Nico and Bianca D'Angelo, were seen being escorted off campus grounds by Dr. Thorne. Attempts were made to contact Dr. Thorne, but none were successful. Police investigated the whereabouts of the man and were unable to find any substantial leads as to where he or the children were located. This investigation did, however, uncover that the man was working at the military academy under false credentials. Thorne was cited as the number 1 suspect, and authorities believe the false credentials show that this was a premeditated act to kidnap these children. There's been no identified connection between the 2 siblings and Dr. Thorne, so perhaps the intention was general and not directly related to the 2 siblings. However, not much can be proven, as not only was the background and whereabouts of Dr. Thorne unknown, I believe he was a manticore, but so were the backgrounds of the missing children. The 2 were found to be attending the school on falsified transcripts. Looking deeper into the children, the 2 names Bianca and Nico D'Angelo turned up missing person cases from the 1940s. It quickly became evident that the 2 had stolen or been forced to take on the identity of the 2 children. The original D'Angelos, after relocating to Washington, D.C. from Italy, lost their mother due to lightning striking the hotel they were staying in. What? Yeah. Lightning strike is such a freak thing. Not when Zeus is involved? Oh, so that part's true. Zeus killed... Oh. Let's be careful about our name usage here. Oh, right. Yup. They then became wards of the state and were enrolled in a boarding school for a brief period before promptly disappearing. It is theorized that the lawyer responsible for the 2 may have had something to do with the disappearance, as he was the one that reportedly removed them from the boarding school the last day they were seen. The 2 siblings have never reappeared and are largely believed to have been kidnapped or murdered. However, it is worth mentioning that the 2 reportedly had a large trust fund that was slowly drained in the following 70-plus years. As a result, some believe the children to still be alive, just existing off-grid and in their 80s, 90s, citing the slowly drained assets. Should someone have been after them for monetary reasons, a slow process makes little sense. Still, the case was left to gather dust for years before suddenly being uncovered in our investigation. The unsettling details of our case draw an odd parallel to the disappearances of these children, both being removed from their respective schools by a close authority figure with little to no questions asked. Investigators have come to believe that an unknown individual enrolled these 2 children at Westover Hall under these stolen identities, but have made no progress in discovering why. Probably because accidental time travel isn't on their list of theories. You're kidding me. The real identity of the 2 children, now estimated to be in their late teens, was never found. Oh, this is gonna be really off. They never found Bianca's body. These guys would have no idea. Oh, so they're looking for both of them. Yeah, but by far the strangest detail of the case is the stark resemblance of the fake D'Angelos to the real ones. Photo comparison is shocking to say the least. This has led to some very sinister theories about who these children might be.
Mentions of cults, genetic cloning, data breaches, higher powers testing what they can get away with, and simply mere coincidence have all sprung up online attached to wild speculation. The most popular internet theory is that this is a strong case for time travel. There it is! Citing the shocking resemblance, similar stories, and the compelling testimony of fellow classmates that the two were detached, confused by modern technology, and the insistence of the two that they did not remember where they came from or what happened to their parents. Wait, that's scary. Can you imagine being so displaced like that? Yes. Oh my god. Okay, these are just theories and superfluous to police investigation. Returning to reality, when examining all security footage from the night the two students were removed from campus, all students and faculty were accounted for, but footage caught images of 4 extra teenagers in attendance at the dance. The aforementioned Grover Underwood, see related articles, and Beth Chase, see related articles. We're coming back to that, right? Yes. Our person of interest, Percy Jackson, and another female student. This brings us to our 4th missing person case. Oh my god. It is unknown what these teenagers, known to be New York residents, were doing in Maine at Westover Hall. A small altercation was caught on camera between Jackson and Dr. Thorne while the D'Angelos watched. Some have speculated that Jackson somehow knew that Thorne was going to take the children, but his true motivation or how he could have had foreknowledge of this is a mystery. Investigation has turned up zero connection between anyone working or attending the school and any of the aforementioned names. Investigators turned to the identity of the unknown 4th student as being their only potential lead, although, granted, her case is entirely circumstantial and not grounded in fact. But outside of this lead, we are left with no explanation as to why they were in attendance the night of the 2 D'Angelos and by extension Dr. Thorne's disappearance. Is he dead? Yes, but he's a monster, so he'll be back at some point. What a lovely sentiment. They don't follow the rules of YOLO. Not this again. What is YOLO? It stands for You Only Live Once. Well. Not me, though. You have lived twice! Yolt. You are my favorite person. To the identity of the 4th student, we have no definitive ID on this person. Described as a tall teenage girl with dark black hair, estimated to be between the ages of 13 to 15, not much else can be ascertained from the quality of the security cameras. When consulting known cases, it was pointed out the stark resemblance between the girl in the video and known and long-standing missing person Thalia Grace. Online researchers were quick to point out the resemblance, claiming this to be the first sighting of the girl in a few years. However, this can be debunked with a little fact-checking. Missing person Thalia Grace, at the time of this article being written, would be around the age of 24-25, not a teenage girl. Wait, I'm confused. What do you mean 25? She's supposed to be 25, but she joined the Hunters of Artemis the day before her 16th birthday, partially to avoid the prophecy that she would have either accidentally fulfilled the next day or would have caused her death in the next 24 hours, considering that it was actually about Percy. And she's already cheated death once in a really weird way, so, why not? What? How was class? Boring. This seems much more interesting. How did you... Piper's been sending me updates. You're live tweeting me? Just Annabeth. And you told me I should test the tech. You have a cell phone? It's for emergencies. Is this an emergency? It's a crisis of information. They're accusing my boyfriend of being an accessory to crime. Like Ken. What? An accessory. My job is beach. I'm horse riding Barbie. I want to be architecture Barbie. How have we gotten this lost? Look at you and your pop culture! I love movies. You should know this by now. Wait. So, she was already a Hunter of Artemis when they wound up at the school? Not yet, but she did lose a couple years as a tree, so that's why her age is off there. I'm gonna pretend like I understood that. Leo? As I was saying! For some background on this case, Thalia Grace is the daughter of 80s TV star Beryl Grace. While Thalia's father remains unknown, in the years after her daughter's birth, Beryl Grace became somewhat infamous for being unstable, consistently pulling stunts that led to endless bad press and her being blacklisted from Hollywood. Paparazzi kept her DUIs and other career-ending behavior well documented, meaning that by association, her young daughter Thalia was recognizable as well. Eventually, Beryl seemed to turn a corner and improve her image after being spotted with a new mystery man. It's assumed that this man is the father of her second child, a boy named Jason Grace. They were quiet for about 2 years before things took a turn for the worst. Jason Grace was reported missing by his older sister. This is the same excerpt from your dad's case, Piper. What? Thalia Grace informed the police that the 2-year-old Jason was missing at the hands of their mother. When questioned, the fallen-off movie star stated that the boy had been taken from her, but refused to disclose by who.
When pressed as to why she did not report him missing, she was uncooperative and babbling nonsense. A manhunt was initiated due to suspicion that the child was in danger and had not been simply surrendered. Unfortunately, not a single lead was generated from this search, and the case would have no other revelations until 14 years later. See related articles. While police continued to search for Jason Grace, Beryl's older daughter, Thalia, also went missing. This time, Beryl claimed her daughter had said that, quote, "This was the last straw," and then subsequently ran away. Police searched for the 9-year-old following dozens of tips in the next few years of potential sightings as far as Richmond, Virginia, before the case went cold. Thalia was often said to be seen with a tall blonde teenage boy, estimated to be around the age of 13-14, often seen curiously carrying a golf club. Police have worked to identify the boy and have made tentative links between him and other missing person cases where he matches the description, but no definitive evidence has been found and remains as speculation. See related articles. Do you know who Luke Castellan? You'd think he'd be more identifiable with that giant scar on his face. He didn't have that till after we got to camp. Oh. He went on this quest. There was a dragon involved. It was a whole thing. I remember being very jealous that he got a quest and I did not. But then he came back with that, and I had to rethink my stance a little bit. That is really weird to think about. Why? I don't know. He was just like the most chill dude before, like questing and stuff. Really? He taught me how to sword fight. Oh. Yeah, he'd already stolen the Master Bolt and framed me for it before we even met, and then still had the audacity to be like, "Hey buddy, my name's Luke, let me teach you how to stab stuff." A bit of painful irony there. Painful. Okay. Sightings of Thalia diminished quickly, most likely due to the passage of time and the simple fact that 9-year-olds don't look like 9-year-olds forever. At the last definitive sighting of the girl, an eyewitness stated that a blonde boy referred to her as Thalia, and the unique name was what caught the witness's attention in the first place, considering the media circus around Beryl Grace. After this, the case would have no other revelations for years. However, this case has been linked to the incident at Westover Hall due to one last unverified sighting. A disheveled group of teens were spotted in a convenience store close to Brooklyn. The clerk described a tall young man with a golf club, a girl resembling Thalia, another unidentified young man said to be on crutches, and a very young girl with blonde hair reportedly carrying a large knife. Wait a minute, he saw that you had a knife? I guess he could see through the mist? There didn't happen to be like a goddess throwing muffins or like a burning rainbow there by any chance? Or just like a bunch of snakes for no reason? Not to memory? Okay, well, he could probably just see through the mist. How many deadly businesses are we gonna discuss? Never mind. Considering the odd hour of night and the battered and armed state of the group, the clerk filed a report with the police stating one used the name Annabeth. When shown a photo of missing person at the time, Annabeth Chase, the man identified the girl he saw as the same girl. Unfortunately, this sighting cannot be verified, considering there is no physical evidence. The outdated security cameras were malfunctioning the night in question, and Annabeth's name had been in the news just days prior. However, returning to the incident at Westover Hall, this sighting may have some credibility to it after all. If you will recall, Annabeth Chase in later years was sighted with Percy Jackson and student Grover Underwood, who was heavily speculated to be the aforementioned young man on crutches, at Westover Hall on the night of the D'Angelo's disappearance. If this convenience store sighting is true, it means that Annabeth Chase and Grover Underwood at the very least know Thalia Grace, and make the likelihood that our fourth unidentified student, who looks like Thalia Grace, most likely actually Thalia Grace, despite the age difference. Many chalk the difference up to low-quality security footage and teacher descriptions being inaccurate, saying that the girl could pass as 18 when given more context. Returning to our main subject, if this theory is true, then it links Jackson to our fourth missing person case. Thalia Grace, Dr. Thorne, and the two D'Angelos. A note for the readers, as we do not have an ID on the two missing children taken from the dance, they will be referred to by their stolen identities until we have an official ID. You ever stolen your own identity? Apparently so. Now, he actually shadow traveled here, correct? Yes. Cool, just wanted to make sure that everyone else can also see you. Is that a ghost joke? Depends on how upset you'd be if it was. It was a little funny. Not your best work, though. I'll take constructive criticism. I only give destructive criticism. Does Will know you've shadow traveled across the country? He is not in charge of me. And yes, what is happening? Plus, the Apollo cabin is making me watch all of the Star Wars movies, and that is so many hours of movies. So I figured I'd take a breather before I spend that much time cooped up with Kayla and Austin. Oh no! Have you ever heard Austin play Careless Whisper on the saxophone? I thought it was great the first time, but by the 18th time, I was about ready to send Jules Albert after him. And then I found out it was a meme, and I felt very silly. Who is Jules Albert?
He's my zombie chauffeur? My dad gave him to me. I'm gonna need to think about that one. Despite all this, Percy Jackson, the two D'Angelos, and Dr. Thorne made a hasty exit from the grounds with Annabeth Chase, Grover Underwood, and Thalia Grace allegedly following after. The group disappeared into the woods and did not re-emerge. Westover Hall has continued to be investigated for how such a lack of oversight and campus security could have happened, but no other revelations have come about. Although it is frequently mentioned in theoretical discussions of time travel, with conspiracy theorists believing the D'Angelos case to be one of the best supported instances of this actually occurring. This, however, is simply wild speculation and often leads down a rabbit hole that has done nothing but foul up the actual investigation. Westover Hall has even considered a full rebrand to distance the school from this story. They better name it after us. That seems counterproductive. Oh. What is that? Wouldn't you like to know? The souls of the innocent? It's coffee. Ooh, what do you call a ghost who gives you coffee? What? A barista. Ugh, bad. Okay. Suspicion would continue to follow this group when Percy Jackson, Grover Underwood, Bianca D'Angelo allegedly, Thalia Grace allegedly, and an unidentified teenage girl made an appearance at the Smithsonian National Air and Space Museum. Unidentified? Zoe Nightshade. She was a hunter of Artemis who went on this quest with us. Well, I wasn't technically supposed to be on the quest, but I followed them because they were trying to track down Annabeth and Artemis. Mostly Artemis. I found that unacceptable. You got kidnapped? When? By the Manticore at Westover Hall. They think he took the D'Angelos? False. He took me. What happened to Zoe? She did not survive the quest. But, I mean, she'd been around for like 2,000 years. Actually, she was the one who owned Riptide originally before she gave it to Hercules and so on, and I wound up with it. Wait, do you think that's why Riptide is a girl? That is a solid theory. You know, Zoe disguised Riptide as a hair clip originally when it was forged. Did you choose the pen? No, it was like that when I got it. I didn't realize you could change it until I met Zoe, but by then I was already used to it. Can we go back to you saying that your sword is a girl? How do you know that? Oh. We met a talking sword recently. His name was Jack. And he was flirting with Riptide. It was incredibly weird. Was Jack owned by somebody? Yes, but we don't have time to unpack all that. Actually, Annabeth Chase C-related articles might actually touch on it, so by the time we get there, I'll make up my mind if I want to tell you about Boston or not. Well, that's cryptic. A disturbance followed, reportedly involving a stray dog being let into the museum. The Nemean lion, but okay. Property damage, theft of freeze-dried astronaut food from the gift shop, and security guards chasing the teens out of the museum and off the property. Authorities called to the scene attempted to gather a report from the guards on duty, but incredibly suspiciously, the guards did not return to the museum after pursuing the teens off the property, and the museum was unable to give the names of the guards seen in the security footage, claiming all of their security was accounted for. With the identity of the guards thrown into question, people began to speculate that there may be something tying this instance to the Westover Hall incident other than the recurring cast of characters. The security footage becomes more sinister when you consider that this is the last recorded sighting of Bianca D'Angelo. Her brother Nico D'Angelo has been cited many times in years to come, and their case remains open and ongoing, especially for online time travel conspiracy theorists. See related articles. Investigators began to speculate that there must be some sort of compelling force behind the consistent back-and-forth travel and disturbances caused by these specific children. It's never the same group of people, and many seem to come and go, but they act like they have a purpose, or as if they are carrying out some sort of bidding or mission. The only constant variable being the presence of one Percy Jackson, which is where our story focuses. I'm sorry. Theories have ranged from general delinquency all the way to cult activity, saying that the children could be acting on the directions of a charismatic leader or authority figure that is yet to be identified. Wilder theories have suggested that the leader could be Jackson himself, considering his links to all these incidents, but outlying factors such as missing person cases and other unexplained occurrences that predate Jackson disqualify this theory almost completely. They think you're a cult leader? I feel like the people at AHS would have been a lot nicer to me if they genuinely thought I ran a cult.
If the cult theory has any credibility, it would suggest that Percy Jackson is at least close to or valued by the cult leader, or the total opposite, considering how prevalently his name is dragged through the mud in these scenarios. One would expect cults to rely more on secrecy, avoiding media coverage if at all possible, or this could all be a large red herring for a more sinister plot. They're getting weirdly close. Despite explosions and general property damage during these sightings of Jackson and his accomplices, there have been no reported injuries to the general public. Many people reported that there was no danger spotted at all, only those actually involved being seen with any kind of injuries or reacting as if there was anything to be feared. We must look absolutely insane to onlookers, just running from things that they can't see. This has led some to look with a more scrutinizing eye at the idea that these incidents could be entirely staged. Returning to the Smithsonian, some people have suggested these unnamed guards were placed there in uniform and the teens may have been in on the whole thing. No, they were just skeleton warriors. Nico. I didn't have anything to do with that. I didn't even know Hades was my dad at this point. They were after me kinda by accident. I wasn't the original target. Nico. I did not have bloodlust at 8 years old, Hazel. Silence. It was justified. Fair. That implies you have bloodlust now. Would you like to find out? Perhaps it is all just a confusing act. Could Dr. Thorne, with his absence of credentials, have been an actor as well? One could even scrutinize the unidentified man on the beach attempting to fight a 12-year-old with a gun with this lens of being entirely fake. This is an interesting theory and is a popular one due to the sporadic and seemingly without clear purpose actions of these teens, but comes to a dead end when we begin to ask what the purpose is and who may be orchestrating these events because, again, no purpose can be ascertained. Nothing seems to be gained, no progress towards a goal is made, and most theories fall flat of just speculation. However, not everything has to have a purpose, and there is one seeming incident where a life insurance policy was gained. Still, the disappearances, Bianca D'Angelo for example, and wandering of these minors is one to be discussed, not ignored. That's when I lost my sister. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, she chose rebirth though. Relatively recently, actually, so she's probably chilling somewhere as a baby by now. Do-overs are pretty nice, I would know. Yeah, I hope she's having a way better time this time around, cause... ugh. If I did one more go-round, would that count as 3? Would I qualify for the Isles of the Blessed? That is a good question. You'd be stuck with, like, the mega heroes, though, so we wouldn't be able to hang out. You wouldn't want a do-over? I am 80-something years old. I'm not doing this shit again. You could already be on your 3rd life and have no idea. I do wonder about that sometimes, though. Like, why us 7 in particular were expected to fulfill this great prophecy? Like, it's not my first time here, so maybe the rest of you are on a victory lap as well. That is a terrifying thought. Because you can't really argue, oh, it was experience, because Frank had only been at camp for a couple months before the beginning of the quest, and you also can't really argue special or rare abilities, because Annabeth doesn't really have anything other than experience and pure grit. No offense. No, I'm well aware I don't have any cheat codes. Intelligence is something you can gain, but I can't just study to become a freaking waterbender. So I do wonder what the tie is, other than just, like, fate. Handpicked Jason and Percy and swapped them and just saw who they picked up along the way, adding up to 7, even though technically Nico was on the quest, so it should have been 8, which also means that we can't argue that it was the children of the big 3 because of Nico and Thalia's exclusion. I don't think I was just picked up by Jason. To be fair, I've been dealing with Gaia for longer than all of you. That is very true. I'm also loosely connected to Hazel's first life as well. And you died and came back, so you're on a do-over. I don't think I count, because I don't think my soul ever actually left my body, because I never wound up in the underworld, I just woke back up in my body. You didn't go anywhere? No, but I definitely died. I'd like to believe that it was because I was the captain of the Argo too, like a proper pirate, so instead of going to the underworld, I just wound up in the gravy basket for a little. Like Blackbeard. Yeah, the gravy basket or Davy Jones' locker or something, and Festus had to go get me. Ooh, missed opportunity to play the chain over the ship's intercom while we were being attacked. Ooh, or just like anything by Hans Zimmer. I would have genuinely lost my mind if you did that. The dreaded Pirate Valdez. Commander Toolbelt, the supersized McShizzle of the sea. Fun fact, we've met him. The supersized McShizzle? No, Blackbeard. The real one, not the one from Our Flag Means Dead. How did you do that? Remember the guinea pig incident I told you was classified? Yes. Elaborate. Percy got turned into a guinea pig on Circe's Island, and then got stuck with a bunch of other pirates that had been turned hundreds of years ago, including Blackbeard, who we then accidentally
guinea pigged as a distraction to escape the island. And that is why Reyna hates me so much. That's why? An abbreviated version of it. I never explained why Hyla had such beef with me when we were with the Amazons. Well, I didn't remember. Who's that? Reyna's sister who was trying to kill Percy? Okay, and we're just chill with that? What's a little attempted murder between friends? Oh. Returning back to the facts. This incident reignited the game of Where's Waldo, and sightings of this group were reported in Cloudcroft, New Mexico, and at the Hoover Dam in Nevada, where a short altercation with other tourists happened. It is suggested that this was a result of the group being recognized after Jackson was seen running through the dam and hiding in a restroom from something unseen. There was even a ridiculous report that the Hoover Dam angel statues were briefly missing after this altercation ended, which is of course entirely out of the realm of possibility, but we choose to mention it to show how quickly people begin to make up false stories when there's potential news coverage involved. If it weren't for the advent of security cameras, these cross-country chases could be considered an awful game of telephone. In fact, I ran into Rachel Elizabeth Dare there and tried to convince her that my sword was a baseball bat. And what was the crowd reaction to that? She did not believe me. Pretty sure she thought I was insane. She was thinking, wait, is that cult leader from the news? That is a fair possibility. In loose connection to this case, an odd incident occurred late at night near Mount Tamalpais. A destroyed vehicle was found after apparently spinning out on the road up the mountain and subsequently exploding. Damage suggested the car was struck by lightning and was then abandoned. No authorities were alerted and no bodies were recovered. The car was simply left there. Vehicle was a yellow VW convertible registered to one Frederick Chase. Uh-oh. Chase is a military and American history professor at West Point. This is significant because Chase is in partial ownership of a restored Sopwith Camel biplane, and what is speculated to be around the same time that night, it was reported that the biplane took off from Crissy Field, then returned and landed with a second aircraft mere miles from the crash. Eyewitnesses' description demonstrated foggy memory of the second aircraft, but were certain of the Sopwith Camel being involved. Aliens. Or like Artemis. Oh, you're joking. Professor Chase was fined for the unauthorized flight and gave a flimsy excuse about maintenance for the old plane, but some theorize this was an attempt to retrieve the vehicle or attend the scene of the crime. It seems clear that Chase was not in operation of the vehicle when it was destroyed, and law enforcement claimed Chase was most likely trying to avoid the legal battle that can ensue when a non-owner of a vehicle is operating it during a crash. He potentially flew up to try to stage the scene before calling authorities, but they postulated that due to the nature of the crash, or rather explosion, Chase decidedly stepped back on this attempt and was confronted by authorities about the unauthorized flight before he could report anything having to do with his car, resulting in his flimsy excuse. Nothing malicious was suspected until the car was taken to be totaled. Inside the car were several destroyed belongings. This is where our story picks up. When pressed as to who was driving the vehicle, Chase refused to answer, insisting that it was himself. Authorities investigated deeper into the belongings, and a backpack was found with a wallet containing a Metro card registered to one Sally Jackson. Damn. If you recall, Sally Jackson is the mother of Percy Jackson, and pressing further into this connection, it was discovered that Frederick Chase is the father of the aforementioned Annabeth Chase, a known associate of Percy Jackson. This connection reasonably places at least one of the Jacksons in Professor Chase's car at some point. They may not be definitively involved in the accident, but were at least in the car at some point recently. It can be reasonably inferred that after the altercation at the Hoover Dam, Jackson continued in the same direction, landing in San Francisco, and potentially meeting with Professor Chase. Chase's actions prior to this were not noted, and some have said he could have been involved much earlier in transporting these children across the country. I wish that could have been helpful. Perhaps the children were operating the vehicle, and he flew to the explosion site to retrieve them. This would fit very nicely into law enforcement's theory as to why Chase did not contact the authorities about his vehicle. I am shocked about the accuracy of that theory. Just wait for it. However, this doesn't explain the presence of the second aircraft. The aliens! Nebulously described, the aircraft did not remain in Crissy Field and left soon after appearing, but the evidence at the scene showed two distinct takeoffs and landings, only one of which was made by the Sopwith Camel. With this new addition to the story, conspiracy theorists went wild claiming that the craft could be alien. I take everything back. A detail yet to be mentioned was the fact that upon further investigation, it was determined that the machine guns on the biplane were functional and had been used, theorists suggesting an unfriendly encounter between the two crafts. The second aircraft has not been identified, and it has been difficult to even speculate what kind of craft it was without any solid defining features from eyewitnesses and no physical evidence. Theorists took this a step further to insist that it was not a coincidence that the famous haunted cruise, the Princess Andromeda, was docked in the vicinity of Mount Tam, and pointing out that this is the second instance of a car related to the Jacksons being struck by lightning and subsequently destroyed, chalking this entire case to some grand underground conspiracy having to do with aliens. This is, of course, insanity, and a hard left from the very believable theory of law enforcement that Chase simply wanted to avoid the legal issue of allowing a minor or minors to operate his vehicle. Law enforcement have also stated that the second aircraft is most likely a hoax. All of this has caused investigators to pay more attention to Professor Chase and his actions, specifically in relation to his daughter. Let's back up a little and discuss Annabeth Chase. Oh, here we go. Wait. So what actually happened? Zoe was driving, and then Thalia started freaking out, saying that we needed to get out of the car, which she was right. We were about to be struck by lightning. And long story short, we just left the car there because we had to go save Annabeth. Big fight ensued. Thalia almost killed Luke. They had made Annabeth hold the sky, and then I had to hold it, but we got Atlas back under there. Who? Like the Titan Atlas who holds up the sky? Didn't it take 2 whole wars to take down Kronos/Krios? Yes. Did you guys just put this one back where he was? Pretty much. And the whole holding the sky thing, that's not a metaphor? No, he is actually holding the sky. That doesn't make you a little anxious? Could he drop it? Like, what would happen? How did you do that? Not die? I don't have the physical, logistical answer to that, Frank, but I get where you're coming from. It might be more supernatural, magical, because logistically we should be pancakes. It turned our hair gray. Yeah, we both had gray streaks in our hair. Yours have grown out, but you can kind of see mine on the ends. That was fun to try and explain to my classmates. Why are you graying at 13? Just matching with my bestie. Yeah, my friend who I crashed a quest to save, just super platonic besties. Then my dad swooped in with a machine gun and got us out of there, but we lost Zoe, unfortunately, and then we had to go to Olympus, and Thalia joined the Hunters, and I thought we were going to lose you, too, for a second. Yeah, they were voting on whether or not to kill me, because I was now officially the child of the prophecy, mostly Ares and Athena, just, in front of you. Yeah, that was a bad day. That's when I sicked the skeleton warriors on him by accident, Hazel. I wasn't gonna bring it up, but yeah, I spent a couple of hours as the solo Big 3 kid before you said psych and disappeared. You thought you were special, biatch? Think again. Annabeth Chase is the daughter of Frederick Chase, a known associate of Percy Jackson, related to many ongoing cases, and a partially solved missing persons case herself. How's that for a title? At the age of 7, Annabeth disappeared from her home in the middle of the night. Reported missing the day after by her father, it was initially uncertain if the girl had been kidnapped or left voluntarily. Annabeth was cited by her stepmother, Helen Chase, as being a, quote, problem child, having disciplinary issues and being known to wander. Her father described her as overly curious and had initially assumed she had wandered off of her own volition, but reported her missing after discovering her bedroom window open and all of her belongings still accounted for. Helen Chase testified that Annabeth had been having night terrors and insisted that she was being attacked by spiders in the night. This went on for the 3 days prior to her disappearance, the 7-year-old screaming for her father and waking up everyone in the house. She insisted the spiders were real, not dreams, but any evidence of this was non-existent. Was that real? Absolutely. Whoa! Oh no! That, my friend, is how phobias start. Her stepmother believed it to be an attempt to scare her 2 younger brothers, Matthew and Bobby. You have siblings? Twin half-brothers, yeah. I think they're starting middle school this year. I take it you're not close. They think that yo mama jokes are funny, and my dad's just like, no, because he knows that my mom is Athena, and they could be legitimately putting themselves in danger with that, but the reaction that he gives them has just inevitably made it worse. Oh, no! Yeah, Percy's never even met them. We're not close. Well, they were forthcoming with that. Chase stated that Helen and Annabeth had a strained relationship, being that Annabeth was the result of a prior relationship with Frederick's in college. The woman in question has not been named, but was considered a potential kidnapping suspect. A common occurrence in missing children's cases are abductions by relatives or acquaintances of the child in question. A child is much more likely to leave with or listen to an adult they are familiar with. In Annabeth's case, there was no evidence of an intruder, and the window she seemingly exited from was not damaged, lending further evidence to this being something she did of her own accord, if she ran away or was lured out by someone she may have known. Frederick Chase noted that Annabeth was unfamiliar with her biological mother and would not have recognized her if she had shown up and attempted to get the 7-year-old to leave with her. However, Frederick has been less than forthcoming with police about this case, refusing to name Annabeth's biological mother and is generally considered an unreliable source. Investigators returned to birth records to identify the woman and pursue this lead, but discovered that the woman listed could not be found. No duh. Wait. How does that work? Oh my god, please, not the belly button question again. The what? Everyone always asks children of Athena if we have belly buttons because we weren't technically born, but yes, we do. What do you mean you weren't born? Oh, you're not ready for this. Please explain. Well, when a mortal loves a goddess, children of Athena are brain children, which means we're born from thoughts and then just gifted like a proper baby in a basket. But instead of a stork, it's the west wind. Huh? My mother's very extra. Is Athena the only goddess that does that? Yep. Okay, that's not at all what I was gonna ask, and honestly just leaves me with more questions, but sure. What did you want to know, Frank? Who's the lady on your birth certificate then? It can't possibly just say Athena, right? It's the fake name that she used briefly when she met my dad. She left me on his doorstep. He said, "Can you please take her back?" She said no. He registered me with the state to get me a birth certificate. What was that middle part? Honestly, I don't know how they let him get away with that. I mean, home births are a thing, but you still have to have a way to prove it. I don't know, dude. I'm sure there's a lot of demigods that just don't have birth certificates. What about you, Piper? Because your dad still doesn't really know that your mom's Aphrodite, right? Same. It's a fake name. When we were moving, I finally managed to lay eyes on my own birth certificate to see the identity that she used, because my dad would not tell me for years because she just up and left one day. Your dad still doesn't know you're a demigod? Yeah, I mean, he's still getting used to the bisexual thing, so baby steps. Oh, Tristan, you handsome idiot. All right. Things quickly went cold. Being that Annabeth disappeared during the night, photos and a description of her, including flannel pajamas, were circulated to no avail. There were no more revelations in the case until almost 2 years later when, if you recall, a disheveled group of teens were spotted in a convenience store close to Brooklyn. The clerk filed a report with the police stating one used the name Annabeth, and when shown a photo of missing person Annabeth Chase, the man identified the girl he saw as the same girl. Unfortunately, this sighting still cannot be officially verified considering there is no physical evidence, but still does potentially tie Annabeth Chase with Percy Jackson and student Grover Underwood earlier than the official sighting of the trio together. Aw, the trio. Yeah, we did some questing together just like old times during our senior year. It was awful. We got briefly de-aged. That was weird. I don't want to talk about it, actually. I got my damn recommendation letters and now I'm here. Okay. Regardless, around 2 years after Chase was initially reported missing, the case was dropped. Frederick Chase stated that he had begun receiving letters from his daughter confirming her survival and whereabouts. Investigators attempted to follow up on the contents of the letters to close the case officially, but Frederick refused to hand them over for analysis, and therefore they cannot truly be confirmed. All it is known is that Annabeth did not return to the household of Frederick Chase at the time, but whatever the content of the theoretical letters, they seem to spur Frederick to call off the search. More positive theorists suggest that the girl truly was with her unknown biological mother during the 2-year period and was able to convince Frederick of this via the letters. Not super far off. Kinda. But darker theories have gained traction as well, some speculating that the letters could not be shown to police because they did not exist, and Frederick himself may have had a hand in the disappearance. Or some have guessed the letters could have been ransom letters, seeing as Frederick was a relatively wealthy man, and others have tied this back to the cult theory involving Percy Jackson. Full circle, baby! Alright, cut. Jason? What? No, he's just the only character I distinguish with these glasses for some reason. Oh. So we're gonna go ahead and have to scrap the joke that Piper's testing out demigod safe technology by becoming a TikTok influencer. That joke isn't gonna work anymore. And we're gonna go ahead and head over to YouTube and Instagram. We've already got compilations up on YouTube, and it's slowly making its way up on Instagram as well. What happens if we don't get banned? Demigod is prepared for anything, Annabeth, even breaking the fourth wall. Whatever happens, the story will continue. You can't stop me! Sorry for yelling. Thank you guys for being so funny and enthusiastic and just generally really wonderful to me. I have had so much fun. And I still have so many ideas, so I really hope to see you other places. If this is where we part ways, thank you so much for being here. Thank you all so much for being here. I started this in college as just like a reprieve from all the bullshit, and that has just only become more and more true.
So I just really, really appreciate it, and I hope to see you soon.